There are none present.
Thank you, Scott. The next item is public comment on non-agenda items germane to the business of the commission. Are there any? I take that as a no. So we'll move on to the next item, public comment germane to the agenda items. Doesn't look like there's any, so we'll move on to the next item, the approval of the minutes. I have approved the minutes from June 9th. I will scan those over, and Commissioner Ho, I think you were present on the meeting on September 8th.
I was.
Are there any comments, or did anyone have any concerns on the June 9th meeting? Okay, great. How about on the September 8th meetings? Okay, so both of those are approved. And then who do we send these to? Candace, do we email them back to you or scan them back to you?
So I believe we have to do a motion to approve the
Oh.
minutes and have a second.
Oh, got it. Okay. So is there a motion to approve the minutes from June 9th, 2021?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner. Oh,
Second.
thank you, Commissioner. So we'll have to do a roll call vote. Commissioner Vincent, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallardo,
Yes.
Commissioner Ho,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. So the minutes have been approved. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the September 8th meeting?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, so we have a first by Commissioner Jefferson, a second by, I think, Commissioner Vincent.
Yes.
I'll do a quick roll call vote. Commissioner Jimenez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Ho,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallardo,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Vincent.
Yes.
And I also vote yes. So those meeting minutes have been approved. So the next item is the findings to continue us to teleconference meetings pursuant to AB 361 action items. So I'm going to read these two memos, and then we will have a motion. We can discuss or have a motion to approve. So the determination in accordance with AB 361, Section 3E3, that while the state of emergency due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as originally proclaimed by the governor on March 4th, 2020, remains active, and/or state and local officials have imposed or recommended measures to promote social distancing. This legislative body has reconsidered the circumstances of the state of emergency, and that the state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of the members to meet safely in person, and/or state or local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing. And so the motion or recommendation to be voted on would be the following. I move that the commission board determine in accordance with AB 361, Section 3E3, that this legislative body has reconsidered the circumstances of the state of emergency, and that the state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of the members to meet safely in person, and/or state or local officials continue to impose and recommend measures to promote social distancing. So that is our main item today. Is do we have a motion to approve this? I guess City Attorney.
I have a question. I mean, it is somewhat convoluted in listening to it and actually even reading through it once. We're voting for this. That means we will continue to meet via Zoom. If we oppose it, that means we feel that it's safe enough for us to meet in person, taking into account the usual precautions. Is that correct?
So what it will allow the body to do is to continue teleconferencing for the next 30 days, and after which you'll need to make the same findings again. If you don't make the findings, then you will have to hold your meetings. And I believe, Daniel, you can speak to this about the state of the building and the mayor's orders on the buildings. You'll have to go back to teleconferencing under the very onerous teleconferencing provisions of the Brown Act, which would require that every meeting place that you're in be open to the public, which would be your home, and that the agenda gets posted there. And you'd have to meet all of those requirements that are, which most members would probably prefer to not have their home be open to members of the public. It would also require that a majority of the members be within the jurisdiction. So that would limit the ability for commissioners to be in different parts of the state or the country. So this allows us to continue meeting this way under the relaxed rules that the governor allowed under his old executive order. So this was this is the state's kind of codifying that executive order, but it does require that we be under a state of emergency, or that local officials are still encouraging social distancing. So the other option to not teleconference is to have meetings in public that would be open to the public also. And so the public would have to be allowed to come on and give public comment. So this will essentially allow us to continue in this fashion until we move to a point where things are back to normal.
What does the path toward meeting in person entail?
Well, I'm happy to jump in here. So the department is still being advised through the personnel department that we are not able to reconstitute our facilities yet. And that's our art centers and our main offices. So I know that they are working with the city administrative officer, and they're also working with labor to address the many issues that have arisen so that we can do that. So the department itself is beginning and continuing those preparations so that when we are given the go-ahead, we'll be able to reconstitute our sites.
I see. Oh, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I should introduce myself. I'm Daniel Tariq. I'm the acting general manager for the Department of Cultural Affairs.
Great.
So Daniel, can I ask a question? This is Charmaine Jefferson. I'm assuming that you're not trying to wait until you get all of your art centers back reopened, because some of them are open at various times with restrictions, right? That's not what it is. It's the building you're in, right?
We're in the build. We are waiting for the building. So each of our sites is going to open on the timeline that it's prepared to open. So right now, we still haven't been given guidance to be able to reconstitute our offices on Figueroa, where the commission meeting room is. And with the social distancing orders that are still in place, the commission meeting room does present some challenges for how to keep that distance for all of our commissioners, as well as thinking about how we bring the public in.
And can I ask one other question, which is, if I understand it correctly, we would have to vote every 30 days to continue our current status. We couldn't say we're going to do this for the next 3 months.
Correct.
So what does that mean? We'd have to come to a meeting like this, vote it, and then set another meeting for the meeting?
So the way we've scheduled this meeting, this allows us to hold until the next regular meeting, which is on December 8th? 9th, December 9th. So this is within the 30-day window. So what we will aim to do is to be able to have this as an agenda item in each of our meetings so that it falls within. And we'll look at that on a monthly basis to see if it falls within the 30-day window.
So I just want to make sure I'm following this. So every meeting, we would vote to keep it that way for another 30 days, making sure that the next meeting falls within the 30-day window. Is that right?
Correct.
So we may not, in fact, be having set meeting dates because that doesn't work out quite that way. We'd have to actually start looking at a calendar and actually having calendar dates as opposed to the way we've got it set right now.
I think our goal is to keep it on the same scheduled dates, and we'll have to determine as we go forward if we need to adjust and whether it makes sense for the commission to do a quick special meeting as we're doing today and then keeping the regular meeting on those dates, or if it means moving those full meetings to a different day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Last question for me. Is there also a possibility of being able to meet in person, but at a different facility that we were able to distance members of the public that wish to attend? Like if we say met in the Public Works meeting room where we can provide for adequate distancing. Is that a possibility as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is something that we're looking into to see how we can effectively do that.
I think at the moment, I don't believe that they're allowing members of the public into Public Works meetings. But that would be, we would still meet the conditions of this under that the public would still have to be able to call in over the phone, just the way that the city council is conducting their meetings right now. So.
Just one other question. Have you guys done any kind of analysis at this point as to whether our meetings are either, better is not the word, but I'm going to use it, better attended and or followed based on the fact that we've been doing this as Zoom versus when we're doing it in person? And there's no access to Zooming yourself in?
We have not done that, but it's certainly something that we can look at over the last several months to see how the viewership has been.
And the assumption is that if and when we go back to having a public presence in the meeting, if we were to do any of it from Zoom, whether some of us are on Zoom and some of us are in person, the person who is in Zoom would have to make their location available. Or is there an effort underway to look at the regulations to recognize the changes in electronics such that a commissioner being on a meeting doesn't mean that the public cannot also participate in the meeting because they have access to a public site versus they have to be in the same place the commissioner is?
Right, so long as we're making these findings, the commissioners will not have to make their home open to the public if we're doing some type of hybrid meeting. There is a sunset date on this legislation. I don't know what there was in the state legislation. There was some movement for a while on kind of revisioning these Brown Act meetings going forward with technology and what the public will be allowed to do in terms of calling in or not. None of those bills have passed yet. So for now, we can continue under these relaxed rules, even in this kind of a hybrid setting like you suggested, so long as we continue to make these findings.
And I asked the question in the context of, I'm obviously all for saying yes to continuing the way we are until GCA is in a position where it at least knows whether or not we can come in the building and do whatever we're supposed to do. But it seems to me that in the context of this discussion, it is worth us noting for either our state legislators or our local legislators or whatever, what our preferences are, because it seems to me there's a couple of factors in here that make, not necessarily doing it this way all the time, but make doing it this way much more expedient, both for your commissioners who are working for free. We do not get paid. There are some commissioners in the city that get paid. We ain't those commissioners. And the cost to the agency from the point of view of you're not paying for our parking every time we come into the building, to similarly in terms of access for the public that does want to access us, assuming they have access to digital, and that's a whole different kind of equity discussion, but assuming that they did that, working towards some combination of hybrid makes sense and not something that should be figured out 3 years, 2 years from now, something that should be figured out now so that when we come back in, we're coming back in with even greater access for the public at what could be a lower cost to the agency, with more ability to engage with the public and the public to engage with the agency and the commissioners, and still possibly setting at least, 4 times a year, it's a full in-person meeting no matter what. And I add to it the possibility that with the whole world not yet figured out about how it's going to do business, and all of us having businesses that we either run or operate in our own right, our ability to be at a meeting is much easier under these particular circumstances than it is when we factor in the time. That is the drive time to, the drive time from, and everything else it shuts down. So I just wanted to stop and make sure that I went on the record as stating that I would love to do anything I could to help move the issue of coming up with, when we do come back into whatever normal is, it is a modified arrangement for how this works.
Thank you. That's really it's helpful to hear, and it's something we'll talk to the mayor's office about, and we'll also talk to the city attorney as we look at and as they look at what does citywide reconstitution of our commissions look like.
Great. Are there any other questions from the fellow commissioners? Okay, on that note, do we have a motion to approve the findings to continue the teleconference meetings pursuant to AB 361 action items?
I move to adopt.
Thank you, Commissioner Vincent. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Ho. So I'll do a quick roll call. Commissioner Jimenez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Giardo,
Yes.
okay, Commissioner Ho,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
and I also, Commissioner Scrofano, vote yes. So the motion is approved. So moving on to the next item, are there any commission announcements or reports? No, I guess not. So the next item is our next regular commission meeting is December 9th. And the next commission meeting submission deadlines for architectural projects is November 17th. Streetlights is November 24th. And I was just going to ask Daniel Tarica, welcome you, Daniel, also. But to see if you have any comments as the acting general manager.
Oh, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, and it's been an honor to take on this role. We are working as a department to continue to have as seamless of a transition as possible, and are working towards that. We're working and focused on 3 main goals, and those are to submit and advocate for our budget as that goes into the mayor's office in the next few weeks. We're continuing to work on our reconstitution planning so that we are prepared to reopen our main offices and our art centers and historic sites when we get the go ahead to do that and to be able to open to the public. And we are also moving forward on hiring and starting to address some of our many vacancies that we have in the department. So we're in a good place, and we've got a very strong staff, and I continue to be appreciative of the work that our staff is doing to help keeping our programming going and supporting the work of the department and making sure that the city's residents and visitors have access to those services. So thank you so much for the warm welcome, and I'll look forward to giving an update as we go forward at the next meeting.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. So I think on that note, this meeting is adjourned. Sir, so I don't have a gavel, but I have a stapler. So,
Thank you,
we'll look forward
commissioners.
to seeing everyone on December 9th.
Good to see you all.
Good to see you all.
Nice
Have a
to see
very
you.
Bye.
happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
And welcome all the
And,
new people.
Congratulations, Commission President, on our quickest meeting ever.
Yeah, work on making them a little quicker moving forward, but
Imagine if you'd had to drive there. Talk to you later.
All
Bye.
right.